Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Taft City Council Successor Agency, our joint regular meeting for Tuesday, February 2nd, 2016 here at City Hall. I appreciate it. Everybody check their cell phones and put them on mute or off or do something so they won't go off while we're having the meeting. First thing that we have up is a Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Hill. And invocation by Scott Pearson with the First Baptist Church. Sorry. So if you'll stand, please. Remove your hats.
Please join me. Salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Scott?
All right, let's pray. Almighty God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings we enjoy from your hands. The gift of life even belongs to you. We thank you for the beautiful town that we live in. We thank you for the leaders that have been elected. We pray for your wisdom this evening as they make decisions regarding our town, regarding our future. And we thank you, God, that we can be a part of a community that is as close as Taft is, and where we can know our neighbors and we can love one another and help one another. And we thank you for your presence here in this place tonight. In the name of Jesus, amen. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Hill and Pastor Peterson. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Miller.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Knorr.
Here.
Councilmember Cryer.
Here.
Councilmember Bryant.
Here.
And Councilmember Hill. Here.
We've got a couple of, just two changes that have been requested for tonight. We're going to change the agenda around a little bit, and I'm going to call up Shannon Jones, who's going to give the Planning Commission report and maybe a little report from the Chamber too. So, Shannon?
Hi, thank you guys for kind of making a little bit of...
Name?
Oh, Shannon Jones,
Okay.
405 Garrett.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for making an adjustment for me tonight. For the Planning Commission report, there was nothing on the agenda that we actually took action on, but we did discuss some zoning amendment changes in regards to garage sales and fencing. Mark Staples, Planning Director, has spent some time kind of going over that with us, and we're going to look at different options to enhance those and make it read a little bit easier for everybody in our community. The other thing that I have as far as taking off Planning Commission, putting on Chamber, we are having our installation dinner next Thursday, February the 11th. It is themed masks and mimosas, and it's a Mardi Gras theme at the Taft Fox Theater. So if anybody is interested in purchasing tickets for that, we have those available as well. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you guys
very much. You might
much.
mention in the morning what for the sit and sip.
Oh,
We have
yes.
Some veterans.
Tomorrow we are having four local veterans are being honored from Honor Flight. They are going to be receiving, there's going to be a flag presentation that will take place tomorrow at 9 a.m. At the Chamber for our regular sit and sip. So anybody is invited to attend. It should be a pretty nice presentation.
Yeah, it was the flags that flew over the Capitol.
That's
and
correct.
These were Honor Flight folks from the west side that went on Honor Flight.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
So it should be a pretty nice celebration.
Thank you, Shannon, so much. I'm going to move item 4, proclamation for Safe Surrender Baby Month from up to now, and I'm going to read the proclamation that we have, and then we're going to have a presentation. So, City of Taft Energized for the Future proclamation declaring February 2016 Safe Surrender Baby Awareness Month in Kern County. Whereas the Safe Surrender Baby Law was first implemented in California on January 1, 2001, with the intent to prevent harm and possible death to newborns. And whereas the law's intent is to save the lives of newborn infants at a risk of abandonment by encouraging parents or persons with lawful custody to safely surrender the infant within 72 hours of birth with no questions asked. And whereas in Kern County, a newborn baby can be safely surrendered into the hands of any hospital, emergency room, or fire station staff. And whereas a Safely Surrendered Baby Coalition, under the coordination of the Department of Human Services, works to educate Kern County residents about this important law. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Taft does hereby join other cities in proclaiming the month of February 2016 as Safe Surrender Baby Awareness Month in Kern County. Dated this second day of February 2016, signed by myself and the 4 other councilpersons. So we have Heidi Carter Esquedo and Doris Sons, if you'd like to come forward. And
Thank you, Mayor Miller and the entire Taft City Council for this proclamation and for your continued support of this important initiative. I'm Human Services Assistant Program Director Doris Sons. With me tonight is Heidi Carter Escudero, Deputy Chief Brent Moon, Fire Captain Guy Fedicaro, Captain Matt Dickerson, Engineer Sean Flanagan, and Firefighter Gonzo Villa. Additionally with us tonight is Social Service Worker Christy Opeza from the Coalition. I am pleased to share with you and the Taft community the life-saving work of the Safely Surrender Baby Coalition. The Department of Human Services is not alone as we lead the ongoing efforts of educating our communities about the Safely Surrender Baby Law. Since 2006, when our department began tracking safely surrendered babies, 55 newborns have been safely surrendered here in Kern County. Last year alone, 10 babies were saved through this program in our communities. I would like now to turn over the mic to Heidi to go over more about the Safely Surrendered Baby Law and the work of the Coalition.
Heidi Carter Escudero. Thank you again, Mayor Miller and the entire City Council for allowing us this time. It's really important that we do these events, and I always like to recognize that in 2006 is when the Coalition was reformed, and it was as a direct response to a tragedy that this community experienced with a baby being found in a trash can. And so it is always important that we come out to Taft every year so that we make sure that that message is repeated, and the message is simple. Any woman in a crisis situation, having a child, up to 3 days old, can walk into any fire station and hand that baby over to any of these gentlemen. They can walk into any emergency room and hand it over to somebody in a hospital and say, I want to safely surrender my baby. It is meant to save the lives of children. And it's supposed to be simple because of that very important thing, that it's a crisis situation, and we don't want those women to hesitate. We want them to know they have a safe option. And in Taft, that option are these gentlemen standing here tonight with us. In Shafter, where we're going to be tonight as well with the other Coalition members receiving a proclamation, again, there's no emergency room. It's the Kern County firefighters that can take that baby off the hands of anyone in a crisis situation. And there really are no questions asked. The importance of the anonymity of this law is almost as critical as the 55 lives that have been saved by it. So that's 55 infants. We're talking 1 day, 2 day, 3 day old babies that have been surrendered in Kern County to hospitals mostly, but also into the hands of firefighters. 55 babies, 52 babies that went into adoptive homes. And that also means that in 3 situations, the woman chose the option that she has up to 14 days to rethink that decision. But it gives her the time to get out of the crisis, to figure out what her resources are, and to make a decision that I can do this. And that has happened 3 times in Kern County as well. So think about those situations, those crisis situations, and the brave decision that woman has. But more importantly, this is the option. These are the gentlemen. Any fire station in Kern County, any emergency room. And that's the simple message that we take to your community tonight in Taft, that we're also sharing in Shafter, and was also proclaimed at the Kern County Board of Supervisors this morning. So thank you so much for joining us in spreading this important message. And thank you to the people that are waiting to testify tonight, because I do appreciate that you have moved us up on the agenda. Thank you.
thank you. Well, thank you for your service, gentlemen. Thank you, my old counterparts from DHS, where I used to work, and appreciate all your efforts. And I'd like to give this to you, so
Okay.
before you get out of here.
That would be important. I guess we got to take it.
Which camera's better, Doug? Thank you.
That got a racket. This is a sergeant picture.
Okay, thank you so much for your patience and indulgence. We'll move on to item number 1, continuance of public hearing, transit fare increase and route change. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. As council directed at January 19, 2016 public hearing, staff met with transit stakeholders to discuss concerns regarding the proposed route changes and rate increase. As shown in the attached updates of the rate schedule and route, several compromises were reached. Among those were to keep the bus stop south of Wood Street, the addition to a stop at South 10th Street, and B, a lesser increase in senior ADA youth fares, and offer a calendar month pass for fixed route and extend dollar ride hours on Saturdays. Staff intends to reevaluate fare box numbers in 6 months to see if these changes have had a positive impact.
Thank you. The recommendation is continuance of the public hearing, so I'm going to reopen the public hearing, and we have some folks here that wanted to speak, so we'll start with Mr. Connick. Mr. Connick, I'd like you to state your name and your address, please.
Rick Connick, 119 Harrison, Apartment B. First off, I'd like to praise the transit. These ladies that work for this transit honestly works their butt off day in and day out. I'm asking that the council goes along with the staff's recommendations. All I was asking for 2 weeks ago was compromised. It got, the stop that I wanted was saved. That's all I'm asking. So I asked this council to go along with his recommendations.
Thank you,
Just a
Mr.
moment,
Connick.
Mr. Connick, if you may. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
Is that your way of saying thank you?
yes,
I just want to clarify that.
thank you.
I'm having a little trouble reading the name here. Is it, no? Is it Olivia or?
Oliver.
Oliver.
Where's Olivia?
Olivia? Is that Olivia?
It is.
All right, Olivia, you're up. Will you state your name and your address, please?
I am Olivia Goldman, and I am at 29 Cougar Court. I am part of the Transition to Independent Living program at the same college. I have spoken about this issue previously, and I understand that TAD has to change things in order that business will run more smoothly and that it does not close down. I also know you intend on raising the prices and no longer have dial-a-ride open Monday through Thursday. And I have to use that to get to work every morning. My primary concern comes from the prices. I did not expect the fares to rise that high, and I feel it'll throw off those without ample means and mess up their budget. And as a college student with a limited budget, I honestly think it's not fair for others in a similar situation to have to reconfigure their well-structured budget plan to a sudden skyrocket in prices. I believe it will likely repel, like a magnet, it'll more likely repel customers away than attract them. The sudden high prices can scare away many hopeful riders, I presume. I only have a simple solution to suggest. Maybe try and raise the fares and the prices of the tickets like more gradually, so people with really tight budgets can adjust to them more easily, and will still keep riding the bus, therefore not scaring off as many riders as you, hopefully not. I'm only hoping you listen and maybe consider. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Golden. Great presentation, thank you. Matthew Brown next. State your name and your address, please.
Good evening. Matthew Brown, 213 Warren Street. I am a sophomore at Taft College TIL program. I understand that the Taft area transit buses have increased the payment because we're not making enough money. So we need to increase ridership. Here's my problem. My problem with increasing the payment for TAT tickets is that I'm on a really tight budget and I've got limited income, and if the TAT tickets are increased, I won't have enough money to budget for TAT tickets. So I would like you to consider increasing the time that TAT runs ridership, to increase ridership. Instead of TAT running until 5:30 p.m., I would like it to run until 8 o'clock p.m. because the sophomores are on a really tight budget, and I thought it would be a great idea for TAT to run until 8 o'clock p.m. Taft College has to provide transportation for the TIL students every evening to and from classes, work, and shopping because TAT doesn't run after 5:30 p.m. Both the freshman and sophomore class took an informal survey to see if we would access TAT at later times. And I have the surveys with me. The surveys revealed that 85% of the students at TIL would use TAT if it ran until 8 o'clock p.m. And thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown. Very good. Appreciate it. Next up is Mary. Sorry, Mary, would you state your name and your address, please?
My name is Mary Lyles, and I'm at 201 8th Street, 1A. I've been a city girl all my life, always wanted to live out of town. So finally in 1990, you got an opportunity to move into Derby Acres and marry Mr. Lyles. And that was very nice. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But time passed and life happened, and Mr. Lyles passed away, and I've recently lost my vision in my right eye, and I can't drive anymore. I had to give up my driver's license. So I applied for an appointment at Heritage Park, and I tell you what, 1st of September, I moved into Utopia. I love it up there, very nice. And I finally learned a little bit more about this transit system. And shame on Taft for not making better use of it. It's really a wonderful system, and all those people, the drivers, everybody I talked to was so nice and kind and helpful. And where else you going to ride a bus for $1 and have a lift to get you on the bus? And I'm very happy with things, but as I said, shame on Taft for not using it more. If you use it more, you'll get more out of it. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. We've had a saying around here for a long time, use it or lose it, and that goes to a lot of different things in Taft. Next up is Judy Tinelli. Did I do that right?
Yes.
State your name and your address, please.
My name is Judy Tonelli. I live at 303 East Street in Taft Heights. I gave up my license about 30 years ago because nobody wants me behind the wheel. I sleep when I drive, so I rely on the transit system a lot. I've been in Fresno, LA, Bakersfield, and this is one of the better transits. But I can see a gradual increase in the prices because we have to readjust to the fact that on unlimited income, you can only spend so much. And you can go from here to Bakersfield for $2. In Bakersfield, they have it where seniors pay $1.65 instead of $3.25, so it makes it easier. But we do have really good bus drivers. They're very helpful. It's more like a family than a business. And I just wanted to say, I think that on the weekends, the time should be longer instead of 4 o'clock because everything happens on the weekends. And it's hard because I think it'll be easier with dial ride all the way because the buses going en route were like every hour. So you'd have to sit there for almost an hour waiting on a bus if you just missed it. So I agree with the transits with the dial ride, and I just wanted to say we've got a good system going, and I hope it'll be a gradual increase so that I can adjust to it because my whole life depends on the bus system. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Next up, Kathy Johnson. State your name and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Kathy Johnson. I live at 128 Center Street, and I'm here representing the clients of the Resource Center and just the lower income people in Taft. And I want to thank the council for making those positive changes. In this past couple of weeks, I've done a little bit of research. I looked at the gap prices and compared with ours, and there is one suggestion that I would like the council to consider. And the gap passes, they have a monthly pass, and I don't think that you've included that in this price change, have you? Did you do a monthly pass?
There's a monthly pass.
How much is that monthly pass? Because I didn't see that.
The fixed route monthly pass for a general rider is $40. Fixed route monthly pass for a senior or an ADA or youth is $25.
You know what? I have nothing else to say. Thank you very much.
In other words, you got what you came here looking for, is that correct?
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, that would make a huge difference.
Next up is Roberta Devine. You'll state your name and your address, please.
Roberta Devine, 421 Olive Avenue. Thank you for having me. Actually, when I signed that paper, I thought I was signing an attendance roster. So.
Well, you got your 5 minutes, so fire away.
I was glad to hear about the monthly passes. That was on my personal agenda. I am a senior and I do utilize the bus systems. I do have a vehicle, but I've been using the bus systems. And, you know, our bus drivers are very courteous. I want you all to know that and get that back to the transit people. However, on 2 occasions, I was overcharged. I understand the senior route's 75 cents, and I was charged $1 twice, and I was under the impression it was 75 cents. But I'm not complaining, I'm just FYI.
You don't look like a senior to them, maybe, so.
Oh, well,
that's
thank you,
yeah.
thank you. Oh, no, I asked her, I showed her my card, and I said, are you sure it's 75, or $1? And she said, yep. I said, okay. Put my dollar in. I would like to reiterate the time frame of our transit system. I think it would be beneficial, as the Tool representative said earlier, for the college students to get back and forth. And is it true that Dial-A-Ride is not going to operate during the week?
They will still operate during the week for ADA and seniors.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Very good.
No change.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience wishing to speak on the subject tonight? If not, then I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve the transit rate increase and change the transit route.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is where council can have discussion. Mr. Knorr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To clarify, just so y'all didn't think I just jumped in there because I want to take your money, but in order for the council to discuss the issue, much like you brought information before us, we have to make a motion and a second. That's part of the way government works. I heard a lot of discussion regarding it would have been nice if the increase would have been gradual. In point of fact, it's been very gradual. City Manager, would you tell us last time we made a rate increase and what the percentage increase
I
was?
believe it was in 2008, I don't know.
2008, 8 years ago. Now, if your healthcare premiums had not risen since 2008, or your taxes had not risen since 2008, everybody up here would be doing backflips, right? That's right. So if you take the proposed rate increase and you divide it by the fact that it has not been raised in 7 years, then you had all that money in your pocket up until now. We did not raise the rates just because we want to. And we discussed this at length in the last meeting. If we do not collect a certain amount of money out of the fare box, 10%, we lose the grant funds. We cannot change these rules. The people that supply the money make these rules. You either comply with them or you lose the grants. If you lose the grants, you lose the program. Those are the constraints that we have to work under. Okay, so I hope everybody understands that. That might not make a rate increase any more popular, but that is why it had to take place. And it has been quite some time, I assure you. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Hill?
Just sometimes we have to make decisions that aren't popular, and we don't like them. And we don't do it because we enjoy it. We do it because we have to sit here and be the people that make those decisions. And we're sorry, but there's no other way for us to do this without losing the programs. So we want the programs to be there for you. So today we get to make a hard decision. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Bryant?
I really just wanted to reiterate what both council people before me had stated. I do appreciate the time that staff took to consider all the options and the input from the community. Those of you who came here tonight, I definitely appreciate your input as well. I'm very happy to see a lot of those items of input have been considered and implemented into our plan. And Mr. Mayor, that's really all I have. I hope you guys all understand that it's not something the council is doing punitive to you folks who might be impacted. It's something we have to do to maintain the fiscal solvency of the city. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cryer?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the audience for showing up and showing a concern. And it's all about you're the public and the voters, and we represent you. And it's been nice we got it done earlier, but the input you gave was very invaluable, what you've done. And we got the rate increase. We compromised a little bit and got up a quarter, and got the monthly passes, and that's pretty reasonable. But we need to use it. We need to get promote it to other people in town and let the people use it and get more ridership on there. Maybe next time I'll be able to lower it. We'll get our 10%. But or we'll keep it the same for years to come. But we don't want to raise anything because, like everything else, our taxes going up, our insurance, like the mayor saying and everybody else saying, costs going up everywhere. And it's sad because we, the public, myself included, got to pay the extra costs, on our way of living, and so money it costs to use elsewhere in our life. But I just want to thank you for coming here and doing your public service by voicing your opinion to us. So we listen and make it happen. And thank you.
One of the things that The major thing we need is more ridership, period. That we need more general ridership that will pay the $1.50 a ride. And that helps offset some of the costs that we make room for seniors and ADA and youth. The $25 a month fixed rate might be a little better budget item, and you could ride the bus 100 times a month if you want. But in that, we may be losing a little bit of money because we consolidate that down to a fixed price per month. So we just need to get more ridership, however we can do it. And then we're going to be evaluating our routes to see what the usage is or non-usage. We're going to keep an eye on this because we're on the end of our limb here, and if we don't increase ridership, if we don't get it to be used, we're going to lose our funding. We're going to lose jobs here in the city. We're going to maybe close the program down. So we don't, and that's not a threat. I'm not trying to threaten, but we got to increase ridership. So we're still open to ideas. Whatever we decide to do tonight doesn't mean it's fixed in cement and it can't be changed. Anything can be changed, and we can always come back to the council and we can readjust and redo. But this is what we agreed to. We had 2 weeks. We got some more input. We've changed some of the routing. We've changed some of the pricing, and we're going to see how it works out. And so we're going to be evaluating for the next at least 6 months and seeing how it goes. Kathy, thank you for your comments, and whoever else came up and indicated that the staff on the buses or the drivers are doing an excellent job in treating people with compassion and care. We like to hear that, because that's a big part of it. Because if our drivers are mean and nasty, people aren't going to get on the bus, and we're going to, so it's incumbent upon our drivers to offer those services, and it should be built into their DNA to provide that kind of service. So I'm glad to have some feedback from the public. We're appreciative that you're here tonight and to give us that input. So thank you very much. So do we have any other comments? Madam Clerk, we have a motion to approve the transit rate increase and change the transit route as presented. Will you take roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Noor?
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller?
Yes, so that passes on a 5-0 vote. If you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome to. If you want to exit, that's okay. We'll just hold up for a minute or two.
Christie's here with Public Works. If they have any questions, she can step outside and answer any of their questions.
Yeah, Christy Lowe is here from our transit, representing the transit. If you have any questions for staff, she'll step outside council chambers and answer any questions you may have.
There might be a little confusion on the extended hours and all that, but
So really, we're not changing anything during the week besides the rate, and we're adding additional dial-a-ride service to help promote rideability.
yeah, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, anyone can ride it out. They're just gonna pay a premium, not 88%.
All right, we're moving on to item number 2, a public hearing, update of housing program guidelines. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. CDBG program regulations require that every jurisdiction receiving CDBG funds have program guidelines for all programs being administered with the funds. There's also a requirement that the public have an opportunity to have input in those guidelines through the public participation process and a duly noticed public hearing. Previous guidelines that the city had in place were approved in January 2014, and due to various CDBG regulation changes and lending law requirements were out of date and needed to be updated to allow continued program administration.
Okay. Recommendation is that we conduct a public hearing, so I'll open a public hearing. Anybody wish to come up to speak for or against this proposal? I guess they all left. Okay, then we'll close the public hearing and move on to item 2. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the home buyer program guidelines and housing rehabilitation guidelines for use in the administering the city's housing programs.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Mr. Bryant, you have any discussion?
No, sir.
Ms. Hill?
No.
Mr. Noor?
None, sir.
Mr. Cryer?
No, sir.
And I have none. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Councilmember Noor?
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller?
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. We're going to move on to item number 3, a public hearing, cost and placement of lien on abated property. Mr. Jones.
Thank you. The property listed below has had a nuisance abated. The owner of record has been notified by certified mail posting on said property in accordance with the Taft City Municipal Code of incurred costs during the abatement process. The cost of the abatement as submitted or modified for the property listed are not paid within 5 days from the date of confirmation. The confirmed statements of expense shall constitute a lien against the property. As such, costs shall be made a personal obligation against the property owner pursuant to Section 38773 of the California Government Code and Taft Municipal Code Section 3-4.5-5 C and D. The property abated was located at 122 East Kern Street, and the abatement amount was at $2,798.10.
All right, the recommendations are that we conduct a public hearing, and I'll open a public hearing in regards to the statement of expense. Is there anybody here representing the property owner? Sherry? You state your name and your address, please?
Good evening, my name is Sherry Layton, my address is 503 Sunset Lane. I had a meeting a couple of months ago with some of your folks here, and the property is actually my deceased father's home. I am working diligently to try to see what I can do to apprehend the property. Having difficulties, but I'm just wanted to kind of represent my deceased father and let you know that it's not overlooked. There are a few hurdles I've come up against, as you all well know. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know as the council that I am here, but I'm kind of in the background. There's a few hurdles, like I said, that I'm going to be jumping over. So I'm hoping to settle this soon. So, do you have any questions for me?
Well, you realize that we're spending some money on it to keep it looking halfway presentable for not only the neighbors, but for the city of Taft in itself. So that's the reason for this hearing, and this is the reason for this $2,798. So it'll go against lien on the sale of the property.
And I understand that, and I do apologize.
Not that we want to do that, but.
Right. No, I understand. There was work that needed to be done, and it's not for free. And I understand the eyesore. You know, this is a main street, and it does affect a lot of people in the community and the neighborhood, so I do apologize for that. Unfortunately, like I said, I have retained a probate attorney, so hopefully something will be positive for that. So.
I appreciate you being here. You know, it's not too often we have an owner come here and speak to us, the council, about their property. You have a time frame, pretty much, when you'd be able to?
I do not.
It's apparently a very complicated process to determine ownership of the property, so we understand that, but we have to do what we have to do.
No, and I understand, and I appreciate that, and just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll continue on my end.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else wishing to speak? And I'll close public hearing. And the recommendation is a motion to confirm the statement of expense as submitted and approval resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving and confirming the cost of the abatement of the nuisance at 122 East Kern Street, Taft, APN number 032-072-01."
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Norrie, you have any discussion?
You know, typically, this would be the time when I would tell people that if you don't want to take pride in the property that you own in the city of Taft, then don't own any. I know Sherry, and I've known her many years, and she's a wonderful lady, quality member of our community, and the situation that she is dealing with is very difficult, and it's not easily taken care of. So this is a very, very unique situation that if she had complete control of the property, we wouldn't be talking about it. It would be an asset to the community and an asset to the neighborhood. So once again, very unique situation. Sorry we had to do that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Bryant?
Nothing further.
Ms. Hill?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Cryer?
No.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for coming forward, and we appreciate your cooperation. No problem. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Councilmember Noor?
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller?
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. I think we got all our citizen requests for public comments in, so we'll skip that. Move down to item number 6, council statements. Councilman Hill.
Well, actually, I have something. If you recall, in September, we had a proclamation for pedestrian safety because we were all concerned about our children walking to school and people not paying attention to them. Well, I picked up a newspaper. This is a Midway Driller, and this is an editorial. Just want to read it real fast here. It says, Taft children are endangered. It has been brought to my attention that on at least 3 occasions during the past 10 days, there have been near accidents at crosswalks near the Taft schools. The pattern in each instance has been the same. Children en route to school would enter a crosswalk on Kern Street and also 6th Street. Oncoming traffic would stop to let the children cross the street, and then some unthinking driver would pass the stopped vehicle and by the grace of God miss the children crossing the street. However, the law of averages will soon catch up with some unthinking driver, and we will have an unfortunate accident which would easily have been prevented. So please, for your own sake and the sake of our children, think when you drive, particularly during school hours throughout the entire area of the West Side. Now, this is something we've talked about a lot. I found this newspaper in a dresser that I bought for my store. This is dated January 11th, 1961. Some things never change, including how we worry about our children and how we complain about everybody driving. So this is quite a beautiful little Midway Driller right here. It was lining a drawer. I thought you might enjoy that.
Can't blame that on cell phones, huh?
No, we can't. No cell phones were here. It's just people being inconsiderate. So some things never change. So I just thought that would be kind of an interesting little tidbit.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Bryant.
I guess that was just slightly before they had those cars that broke, even if you weren't paying attention, right? No, I have nothing, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Cryer?
No comment.
Mr. Noor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did have a comment. I'm sure everybody has been glued to the TV watching the presidential debates. Sometimes even better than reality TV, but somewhat informative. Real soon, here in Kern County and locally, you're going to have to make some decisions about local representation in government. And we are very fortunate to be blessed with great local representation, from Congressman McCarthy to Gene Fuller and Shannon Grove, and in an unincorporated area, the 4th District Supervisor, David Couch. I will tell you that before Supervisor Couch, that I don't believe the people in unincorporated Taft on the west side had very good access to government. I don't believe that their government was responsive to their needs, but that has changed dramatically. Supervisor Couch put together an amazing team of individuals. If you have any issues in unincorporated Taft on the west side and you get a hold of the supervisor's office and you do not get a response, I would be floored. As a matter of fact, that happens, you call me and I will take you to lunch and pay for your lunch on our way to visit Supervisor Couch and Mark Salvaggio and the rest of his team. But along with a lot of what's going on TV, people need to be cognizant of that and think about the quality of local government, because you have a voice in that. And it's no less important than what's going on the national scene. So be aware of it. Look at what's going on around you. And if you haven't taken the time, if you live in unincorporated Taft, to get to know your supervisor, if life is so groovy that you don't need to get a hold of your supervisor, you can also thank Supervisor Couch and his team, because if things are that good, then they have some responsibility for that. So if it sounds like I'm stumping for Supervisor Couch, and I am. He's a big believer. He's a great partner with the city of Taft because we have crossover issues, and they deal with this very, very well, and they are very responsive and very cognizant of the needs of the people that they represent. So you're fortunate in that regard. Also, Assemblywoman Shannon Grove is no longer going to be that. She's trying to run for senator, and she, too, has worked very, very hard for the people on the west side and in her area. Vince Fong, a fine young man, is trying to take her place, and we'll talk more about that in the future, but these are the people, along with all the Republican presidential candidates and the socialists on the other side of the aisle, that you need to become aware of. So think about what's going on, and it's coming up. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And I must say that for our area, we have great representation. Although it's frustrating sometimes for them to represent us, when the coastal cities basically control the Sacramento, it's hard to do, but they do it, and they represent this area well, and we're very fortunate. And it's also my pleasure to work with this council, and I think that the people of this community are getting their dollars worth from representation here too. So all we need to do is be happy, be tolerant, and watch what you say and say what you mean and mean what you say, and represent Taft and live in Taft and enjoy Taft, and as we all do, and all the people in this room I see here tonight. It's a good place to live, play, learn, and work. So now I don't have to work anymore. It's a good place to volunteer.
If I may add one more comment, Mr. Mayor, that there are 3 young people in the back of the audience, way back in the back of the audience, who haven't come up here and talked about anything. I am quite curious as to why you decided to spend your evening with us. I mean, do you just love government? Are you here to vote for your favorite former mayor? Any word? Go ahead. You just stand up. Why are you here? Okay, all right, very good. Part of the educational process. How about you, young man?
Same here. I'm here I'm from BC College. I came here for my politics class. I just need to see how the city council works and just how you guys manage everything.
How are we doing so far?
I enjoy it.
Okay.
I got a question to kind of add on to that. What made you come to Taft as opposed to going to the city council meeting in Bakersfield?
Well, I'm going to BC College, right? But I live in Baldwin, so it's kind of closer to me.
Very nice.
Like, I haven't been up here in a while, so I kind of thought it would be something nice to just, for me.
We're not biased, but we're better anyway. Thank you for coming.
Welcome to Taft.
Thank you for being here.
I think one of them had a birthday recently too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Happy birthday, Amelia.
I think she just turned 18. That's my lovely niece out there. Shameful advertising. All right, I'm sorry. Thank you.
All right. We'll come back and bring some friends. Next item up is department reports. Do we have any department reports tonight? Anybody want? Okay. How about item number 9, city manager statement?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank all the folks that came out for the transit. It was nice to see some folks get fired up about transit for a change. We have a lot of unmet transit needs hearings, and we don't normally get a very good turnout for people to give their suggestions, so it was nice to see some folks come out and be part of the process with us, and staff sat down with them, and I think we worked out some compromises that would hopefully work for everybody. And I also would like to thank the transit employees for the good work that they do, because they're the folks out there in the buses, the customer service, giving people rides, and they represent the city when they're out there. So obviously they're doing a good job, because we heard a lot of good things about them. So I just wanted to thank them for that, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 10, city attorney statements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No statement.
All right, thank you. Item number 11, future agenda requests. Any councilman person has?
None this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You have none?
No, sir.
I'm going to have one down the road. We had a young lady that plays soccer, for Taft Union High School. She's a senior. She just broke the Central Section record for goals scored, which was 82. They played Arvin the other night, which I was able to attend that game, and she scored 6 goals. So she now has 86 goals. The state record is, I think, 92 or 3. And so she's only got to score under 7-8 goals in 4 games they have left. Plus, if they get in the playoffs, so that'll be adding more. And then the national record is 106 for girls. Her name is Bethany Fitzsimmons, and I would like concurrence that at some point in time that we have a resolution or certificate of appreciation for all the efforts that Bethany has achieved, for all her efforts that she's achieved. She's a little shy, and I know she's going to hate it, but she is really a great athlete. It's amazing to watch her play, and she has always not signed a letter, but she has intended to go to Northridge, University of Northridge, California at Northridge. So amazing athlete. She's representing Taft well, representing the school well, and her family and her friends. So I would like a concurrence on that, and we'll get information for
I
the
concur
council.
with that wholeheartedly.
So not many athletes come through our system at Taft that can achieve that kind of level, and she should be recognized. So, and all the girls are on the soccer team that support her. I mean, I don't want to diminish. She's not out there by herself, and so the whole team too. So they're doing a great job, and we're looking forward to the playoffs. All right, we're moving on to the consent calendar, items 12 through 20. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? They left, so we're going to move on to item 12, minutes of January 19th, 2016 regular meeting. Item 13, payment of bills. Item 14, special event permit number 2016-3, Love Your Neighbor event held by Calvary Temple Assembly of God at 630 Kern Street on February 13th through the 14th of 2016. Amending the job description of the administrative assistant to the police chief and changing salary range. Change one transit operator position from full-time to part-time. Change the classification of this is 17, I'm sorry, I've been saying the numbers. Item 17, change the classification of administrative technician to public works administrative and operations coordinator. Item 18, update to the alcohol and drug testing policy for transit, and that is required by the state and the feds, I believe. Item 19, authorize purchase of land from Westside Economic Development Corporation, 2/3 of an acre, which is near the animal shelter, for a price of $12,500. Item 20, emergency replacement of the HVAC boiler, Taft City Hall, in the amount of $4,017.01. Had to get there 1 cent. So, does any council person wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Hearing none, I will then entertain a motion to accept items 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Motion. Second.
You're surrounded.
Everybody.
There's an echo in here.
Did you get it, Madam Clerk?
Yes, I did.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Councilmember Noor?
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller?
Yes. That comes to a close of our regular meeting, but we will be going into closed session. Item A, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, City of Taft versus CDCR. Item B, conference with property negotiator, city manager, Government Code Section 54956.8, 400 Hilliard Street, Taft, California. Item C, conference with labor negotiator, Craig Jones, city manager, Government Code Section 54957.6, all units. I want to especially give a shout out to Assistant Fire Chief of the Kern County Fire Department, Brent Moon, for being here tonight. Brent, thank you for your service and thank you for attending. We will now go in to